Hey guys, welcome back to the Lake family. I want to cover a topic that's been kind of bugging me lately. That's came up about the Kobe Bryant versus Tim Duncan debate, and I just seen a lot of things on TV, and people just saying stuff like non-factual, taking stuff completely out of context without really going back and looking at different circumstances. And they're just, it sounds like they're basically just picking who they want off of bias instead of facts and reality. So I made this video today to uh, show y'all some of the history and some of the facts between Kobe and Tim Duncan to try to further clear up some of the misconception about Kobe Bryant, and also to help open the minds of the kids and the younger generation that's coming up, and because just to let them know and let them see how much the media is trying to erase Kobe Bryant from history. It's like they're trying to erase him from the face of the earth, and it's ridiculous and it's sad all at the same time. And you actually have the youth coming up and just taking what word or what they hear from the media as truth, instead of going back, doing their own research. I mean, when I say do your research, I mean do it right. Don't just go back and look at a stat sheet, because that doesn't tell everything. But yeah, man, the media is back at it again, trying to devalue Kobe's career and erase him from history. I don't know whoever decided to start debating a shooting guard, Kobe Bryant, versus a big man, a power forward, Tim Duncan, which this started right around Kobe's retirement era in there. But remember in my Kobe tribute video, I told y'all how the media and fake people were showing Kobe fake love and praise just for clicks and views. Well, they've been debating this topic lately, but the one that appalled me the most was none other than Mr. Stephen A. Smith, when he tried his best to discount the career of Kobe in favor of Tim Duncan, who I respect. But come on now, this shouldn't even be a debate. Kobe's flash and appeal off the court alone would usurp the legacy of Duncan. And again, that's no slight to Tim Duncan, but that's truth. I mean, who's going to go out buying Tim Duncan shoes? Oh, I think I want to give me some of those Tims today. Oh, word, I want some of them Timberlands too. Nah, man, them Tim Duncans. Come on, man. Let's be real, man. Come on, man. Let's be real. But let's get right into it. Kobe, 5 rings. He had 2 championship losses to Boston. He had one loss to Boston, and the other loss came in the hands of the Detroit Pistons, who were considered, they're still considered today as probably like the top 2 best defensive championship team of all time. You can choose between them or the '96 Bulls as far as best defensive team of all time. Combine that with a agent Shaq, and then Karl Malone and Gary Payton, who we thought were going to be more than what they were, which they wasn't. Karl Malone was still good, but the injuries started piling up on him that season. Kobe had 2 Finals MVPs. He was a 9-time first defensive team. He selected 12 total. Would have had more if it wasn't for the injuries late in his career. One of his MVPs, I feel like another one that he could have had was stolen from Steve Nash. And the Kobe versus Duncan in playoffs, Kobe owned Duncan 4-2. He won 4 playoff series versus 2 to Tim Duncan. Now Tim Duncan, a 5-time champion, lost to the Heat in 2013. That was his one finals loss. He's a 2-time finals MVP, a 2-time season MVP, regular season MVP, 8-time first team, and selected 15 total. Now, mind you, Tim Duncan says 8-time first team defensive, all first defensive team. Kobe was selected 9 times first team all defensive. Now, that is a guard versus a big man. A big man is supposed to win that out dramatically versus a shooting guard. And because he's close to the bucket, he can affect more shots at the rim, rebound, what have you. But the mere fact that Kobe has 9 to his 8 first time all defense should let you know how great of a defender Kobe Bryant was, and how they tried to still slight him on that aspect. They like to bring up the argument about Kobe had Shaq without bringing up Kareem. Kareem and Magic had each other. Ginobili, Parker, David Robinson, all were a helping factor in Tim Duncan's career. Even Kawhi Leonard, but and then the tutelage of Greg Popovich and that system. Jordan had Pippen. Nobody brings up the help factor when it comes to these other greats except Kobe Bryant. So you can kind of see the bias already building up. They bring up Kobe 2 championship losses without taking into account that was Kobe court trial season, along with the supporting cast not being nowhere near close to good, and no Gary Payton, he was past his prime. You could even make an argument that Derek Fisher was more of a reliable option at that time. And as I mentioned before, Karl Malone had the injuries start to pile up on him. And Shaq and Kobe wasn't seeing eye to eye. So that whole season right there was a disaster waiting to happen. It was the perfect storm for them to limp into the finals and have that great defensive team that played with great chemistry, the Detroit Pistons, to take them out. They try to bring in field goal percentage without adding any context, like how he got little playing time in the first few years because of the head coach at the time, Del Harris. He was more of a hard head coach, a veterans coach, and therefore Kobe didn't get that much playing time. Plus, he came in playing behind other good players like Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, and Shaquille O'Neal, them boys, what have you. So people try sweep that under the rug and still add that towards an analytical stat sheet. So that clearly affected his percentage overall. Meanwhile, Duncan, who had 4 years college experience, which during that time, having that was more respected than a high schooler coming out. And he got to start alongside of David Robinson, who was no slouch himself. They were called the Twin Towers. They were not called the Twin Towers for no reason. Kobe, I want to point out this. This is like one of the main ones right here. Kobe Bryant has the most defeats against any 50-win team in the playoffs. I'm going to say that again. Kobe Bryant has the most defeats against any 50-win team in the playoffs. So that's more than your favorite superstar. And you have to, that degree of difficulty is one of the major factors in deciding who's better than who. If you're gonna talk about is this grade better than that grade, then you have to bring into degree of difficulty. I'm sorry, you just have to. Um, yes, you can look at the end result. Oh, this person has this many rings. This person has that many rings. But you still have to look at what it took to get to those rings. How many hard teams that you had to face. So people discount that. That Kobe knocked out all those 50-win teams over his career, even without Shaq. They put up a stat that I think Kobe he did that 3 times without Shaq. With beating all those 50-win teams. So for people to say that Shaq carried him those years, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like I say, people criticize him for not being tried to criticize him, like saying, okay, he's okay, but he's not as good as Jordan or whoever because he had Shaq. And when he wanted to prove that to people, they still use that against him. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. He the reason for Shaq leaving, or this or that, and he's just a ball hog now. Da, da, da. Wait, I thought y'all said he couldn't do it without Shaq. Now he's trying to show y'all that he can do it without Shaq, and you still bash him over the head. So which one is it? And also, I love Shaq, but how come Shaq couldn't win with Penny Hardaway and that great Orlando team? And please don't bring up Dwayne Wade in the Heat, because it almost got embarrassing how bad Wade had to carry Shaq in those finals. So if you want to say that about Kobe, Shaq was way worse. He of riding the coattail of Dwayne Wade, which when Shaq and Kobe were together, they were tag teaming. They were doing things together. And oftentimes Kobe was the leading scorer in those great playoff runs. But people like to discount that because Shaq ended up with the Finals MVP. And another point, also the same way that you try to knock Kobe for his 2 final losses, then you should knock Tim Duncan for his failed one versus Miami Heat. And before you say, well, Terry, you named 2 losses to 1, well, Kobe went to 7 finals. You can't say that about Tim Duncan. He only went to 6, so we don't know what he would have did if he went to a 7th final. You make it there first, Tim Duncan. So the major point I want to get to is the Drew Brees effect. Yes, I am a Saints fan, as you all know, and I feel like Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant, they both suffer from the Drew Brees effect. The Drew Brees effect suggests you can put up all these historic numbers, break all kind of yards and accuracy records, either carry bombs or carry your defense while having a high percentage rate of wins for your entire career, even win at least 1 chip, but still become painted as not quite good enough to be mentioned with the cream of the crop of all-time greats, whether it be because you play in an era with Tom Brady, who had the luxury of playing with the best coach of all time, with the steadier defense and all-around better roster from top to bottom for majority of his career, which he clearly benefited from, while still having to have a lot of plays fall your way in the playoffs. It could also be that other players like Tom Brady is just more captivating or more accepted by the masses. Duncan suffered this a little bit with Shaq and Kobe being simply more captivating. Plus, it didn't help when you're like the most boring player ever. But Duncan suffered this more so during his career. Kobe more so post-Colorado court trials and the intrigue of LeBron coming to the league at that point helped take some fans away from Kobe during that bad time for him. Kobe had the lofty goal of being mentioned in the same breath as Michael Jordan. That pressure was put on him by himself and the media due to a lot of similarities in their game, even though Kobe did have a different artistic game of his own. MJ most definitely had the better hang time. Kobe, was probably the best creative scorer around the basket. But Kobe was well on his way to meeting that goal. If it wasn't for one image taking a hit with Colorado, with all that mess and shenanigans going on with that Colorado situation, that gave more of a reason for his haters to hate as well, for others to turn on him, and a culmination of certain things not falling timely into place for him, such as the Lakers not getting enough back and that Shaq trade to give Kobe enough help so that he didn't have to suffer those 2005 to 2007 years. But the first year without Shaq, he averaged 27 on 47% from the field and 34% from three. That is amazing. He still was able to put that output of scoring while maintaining his efficiency when he had no one else but maybe Lamar Odom. But, teams were still willing to triple or quadruple Kobe at that point to make someone else beat them. And as you can see, I mean, you can look and see the trash that Kobe had on his team, that the Lakers didn't really do a good job of surrounding him immediately post Shaq. Chris Mims, Smush Parker, Kwame Brown, Sasa Vujic. I loved watching those players, but let's be honest. That was just little to no help. Moving forward, the following year, which was even more amazing, he averaged a whopping 35 points on 48% shooting, 34% from three, 2 steals, and 4.5 assists with the same scrub team, while not benefiting from the many whistles today's stars get. James Harden. But he then took those same scrubs to a 45-37 record. Let me say that again. A 45-37 record in the much tougher Western Conference, where they ended up going up against a number 2 seed Suns team led by Nash, who, like I said, I feel robbed Kobe of an MVP that season. He also had Marion and Stoudemire on that team, who were 54-28. We were not supposed to have a chance that series. Most predicted a sweep. But the greatness alone of Kobe nearly upset that team, taking them to 6 games. If it weren't for Tim Thomas bailing them out with that 3 game 6, I would have put my money on Kobe game 7. But people killed him for that, saying Jordan or somebody else would have beat that team, or he shouldn't have let the Suns come back from a 3-1 deficit. Well, we shouldn't have been up 3-1 in the first place with that roster we had. Also, you can't hold down a great team like the Suns, who at that time were equivalent to the 2015 Warriors. Yes, they were that good. Young people, if y'all don't know, go back and look at that team. They were the first high octane offense, run and gun, Mike D'Antoni led system. They were a beast. That team was a beast. And we was not supposed to even be in that series at all. So the following the following year, the playoffs, the Suns decided to limit the scrubs because they couldn't stop Kobe, who averaged 33 points that series. And the following year after that, y'all started to see what happened when Kobe got a little bit of help. We seen the emergence of Andrew Bynum, who began to look skilled and dominant in the post to mid-range, and soon began to make himself mention in the same breath as Dwight Howard, who was considered the best big man from that kind of like that 07 to 14 year range in there. But Bynum's peak year was 2011-2012 season, where he put up numbers of 19, 12, and 2 blocks. For you youngins, again, if y'all don't remember Bynum or know who he was, the guy was well on his way. I'm talking about a monster, a beast. And it was unfortunate the way his career got cut short. The guy was a force to be reckoned with. He was ambidextrous. He had the hooks, the footwork, decent mid-range face-up, back to the basket game. And he worked with Kareem. At his time there, while his time there with the Lakers. I digress. That season, the unthinkable happened because Bynum got hurt because he was progressing, and he got hurt right there before the trade deadline, and the unthinkable happened. Probably the most lopsided trade ever that brought us Paul Gasol for Kwame Brown, and that's all that Kobe needed to prepare that team to the finals, where the injury of Bynum played a factor that the Celtics fans to this day think wasn't an excuse. But trust me, if they would have had to deal with a healthy 7-foot, 284-pound Bynum, that would have heavily turned that series around. Also, Gasol was not ready for that smoke that KG was bringing. KG intimidated that man to the point to where Phil and Kobe had to spend the whole next year roughing him up, preparing him mentally for the next 2 title runs to come. But when Pippen ended up with a migraine for Game 7 versus the 1990 Pistons, no one blamed Michael Jordan for that loss, but everybody blamed Kobe though. So when the odds were stacked against him versus that Celtics series, so it's very interesting, very interesting. Kobe goes on to win the next 2 championships, dismantling the Magic, and the next year getting revenge on the rival Celtics. At that point, Kobe would taste success for the last time. The commissioner went on to veto a Chris Paul trade to the Lakers, which clearly impacted the ending stages of Kobe's career, which you Kobe haters tried to sweep under the rug or forget, but that failed attempt also led to uneasy Lamar Odom wanting out after his name was included in that deal. We gave him up for $9 million in cash considerations to the Mavericks. So basically, we got nothing of value in return for him. So we played out that season, still finished third with no Bynum, who was out for the whole year, losing in the second round to a tough up-and-coming young Thunder team who was good enough to make it to the finals that year, which everyone agrees that team had the best collection of young star-studded talent ever acquired. Durant, Harden, Russell, and Ibaka. They just met a Miami Heat team who had a collection of more seasoned stars with LeBron, Wade, Bosh, and Ray Allen. After that, the Lakers tried to quickly patch things up, trading Bynum for Dwight Howard, who saw a dip in his stats. He averaged 17 and 12 with 2 blocks, which is still good. But from the eye test, he clearly wasn't the same player. He had that nagging back injury and wasn't getting the same lift in the air. He clearly wasn't the same Dwight Howard from the Orlando Magic at that point. And basically the stat total that he put up, it wasn't much better or different from the last healthy year that Bynum had given us. Which was 19, 12, and 2. Then we also signed Steve Nash, who was clearly way past his prime, being injured dang near the entire season. We still had Ron Artest, but he was way past his prime at that point as well. To go along with the fact that Kobe began to see the betrayal of his body after having to carry a patched up team to a playoff spot, he pulled his Achilles and was never truly the same as injury after injury plagued him from then on. Also, the writing was on the wall for other potential free agents looking in who's seen the last couple of poor choices the Lakers made to go along with Kobe image taking another hit with Dwight Howard leaving that summer. People feared the competitive nature of playing with Kobe. Then plus he couldn't stay healthy. But those last 5 injury-plagued seasons clearly affected his career stat totals and championship runs, which again, Kobe haters in the media run to analytics for, or don't give him a pass for, like how they gave Michael Jordan a pass for the Wizard years, right? Well, you also have to take into account that Kobe was so great he was able to choose to come out of high school and go straight to the NBA, which at that time, coming out of high school was so rare and frowned upon. Only a couple people had done so before him. So he was exiled to coming off the bench in limited minutes as sixth man by a head coach, Dale Harris. I know a lot of y'all might look at this and be like, well, blah, 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 excuse here, excuse there. But no, these were actual facts. These were actual facts. Yes, they still happened. They still were a part of his career. But that still doesn't take away the greatness from him individually. And it doesn't take away from his legacy that he was still able to pull off 5 championships out of that span. And when you look at a list of the all-time greats, if you go look at their records, compare his finals records to a lot of y'all favorite player greats, other than Michael Jordan, go look at their win-loss totals in the finals compared to Kobe's. But people still want to discount that man. Go look at Magic Johnson's loss total in the finals. Go look at Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, Bird. Go look at it. Go look at it. So, and you tell me what you think. Now, these are some of the career numbers of Kobe and Duncan side by side. Kobe obviously was the way better scorer. And 5 rebounds for a shooting guard is considered great. To go along with 5 assists, for the people who said he wasn't a passer, not to mention, you guys, Kobe's stats are affected by playing in a limited role in his first 3 seasons and last 5 years. So really, if it wasn't for the injuries or whatnot, his stats will look even astronomically better than this. Which you youngers really don't understand. Now, Duncan, he opted to play 4 years of college and came out playing like a great seasoned vet and was the model of consistency his whole career. I got to give him that. But again, even though he was overlooked often in his career, he became the Tom Brady to Kobe Bryant, while Kobe Bryant became his Drew Brees in the media eyes. Afterward, like post career wise, the guys, again, the media is trying to erase Kobe, y'all. Us Lakers fans can't let that happen. But let's be honest. I'm even asking Spurs fans to be honest about this. If you took Tim Duncan out of the Spurs system and inserted a Hakeem Olajuwon, a Karl Malone, or a Charles Barkley without having to go up against Jordan, who took them out of the top forward argument with Tim Duncan, how many rings would they have? I'll wait for someone to try to make up an outlandish excuse. There isn't really any. I get it. A Duncan presence on the defensive end is one to be praised. But Barkley, Malone, and Hakeem were better scorers and would no doubt benefited greatly from the tutelage of Greg Popovich. And as I mentioned before, not having to face a Michael Jordan. They would have had to contend with a young Kobe and Shaq like Duncan did, but that team lasted for only a period of 4 to 5 dominant years with Shaq and Kobe together. Duncan was able to maintain the chemistry of having Tony and Ginobili around for the majority of his career, while the Spurs did an excellent job of keeping the parts around them fresh and very serviceable. With odds like that, you better win. I mean, you better win at least a few championship rings with those odds. But man, you kids today who go back and look at highlight videos or go straight to a stat sheet, think you know it all. But Kobe was more than just a great basketball player. He is known globally for a reason. Is Tim Duncan known globally? Mr. Stephen A. Smith? I'll answer that for you. Hell no. Kobe is top 3 for me, and definitely better than Tim Duncan. End of story. Um, it's getting sad, and it's continuing to be disrespectful. How bad they continue to treat this man, and I'm not having it. I'm going to continue to call out these so-called media people who at first, they hated him before he passed, and then as soon as he passed, they wanted to have this love fest and fake love, mourning, and all this kind of stuff. Now that it's not even 2 or 3 months removed from his passing, they're right back to just throwing dirt on the man again. Like, we got to do better. We got to do better, y'all, and we got to do better at teaching this younger generation about the skill level and the greatness of one Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. I mean, just go back and look at that 05-06 season alone. How many that string of 40-point games he had, 50-point games, 60-point games. Then he even had a 81-point game moment. How many of your favorite players doing that? But I mean, I guess haters gotta hate. So that concludes my video, guys. Thank y'all for watching. I would like this video to go viral. The only way we can do that is by liking that like button and getting those subscribers up. Especially if y'all want me to continue giving out this great Laker content like this. Please join the Laker family, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.